All right, welcome in to Vision Pros Live. With Jackson Callum, I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there.
Well, welcome. I'm not Jackson. I'm Sue, and I'm sitting in for Jackson today. I'm excited to introduce to you Bryan Baker. We just got acquainted. He's got some pretty cool things going on. Bryan, I don't want to steal the show there, but with your intro, but tell us a little bit about your family, where you are, all that.
Yeah, very excited. Yeah, I got 5 kids, married 22 years. I was just saying that my 2 youngest are doing an elementary school play. And so that's, fun weekend planned of seeing the play a few times. So very, very fun things happening right now.
That's great. I hope they provide popcorn. You're going to need it with that many shows.
Yes, for sure.
Well, let's dive right in. I'm super curious. I know you're with executives now. Please tell us about your vision for your business.
Yeah. So for me, I've been in executive operations for nearly 20 years. And every time I've done, I would say, a year or two. I mean, so my first stint, I spent about 11 years at one company, and it was fantastic. And then I kind of the next few companies, it was like a couple years, and I would kind of look up after about a year or 18 months and go, I kind of fixed everything. Now what, right? And I love the people. I love the accountability and building teams. And I don't want to discount how much I love leadership and working with people and helping them improve. But at my core, I'm a fixer. And so for me, my vision is to turn that high level strategy, execution, the stuff that I would love to be able to do all the time for the little companies. But I end up only being able to do that about 20% of the time with a little company, because with the little company, you have to do a lot of the other stuff, right? There's so many other little things that are going on. And so for me, my vision is really very simple. I want to be able to help these companies be able to execute and to scale, and for me to be able to use what I do really well. I really am good at helping companies scale and scale quickly. And so I want to be able to help as many companies prepare themselves to be able to be ready to scale when that time comes, whether the rocket ship's already in the air or it's about to take off. I want to be able to help as many of those companies as possible. And as a fractional, I can do that. If I'm working for one company at a time, that I really am not going to be able to, check that box. So for me, it's just getting those companies ready to be able to scale and to scale well.
That's cool. I love that analogy of the rocket ship. Like, I'm picturing you as being the guy giving the final, you're about to take off, folks. Let me just do a final run through, make sure, this is loose. We need to fix this immediately.
Yes.
That's incredible. Like, you can, first help them go faster, but also help them not blow up on their way.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
We don't want any challengers going on. So
right, yeah, induce a whole new level of trauma. But that's incredible. Well, let me ask you this: where did your vision come from for this?
Yeah, so I think I may have touched on it just a little bit in the fact that it just was one of those situations where I just had to step back a little bit and realize that when I'm working with one company at a time, it's not really utilizing what I'm best at. Mm-hmm. And I had to kind of be reflective and realize there's a lot that goes on in helping a company build their processes and really set them up for success. Because I think everyone's heard this before, but what got you to $1 million or $2 million is not only not going to get you to 20 million, it's actually going to hold you back from getting to 20 million. And what's holding you back is the fact that many times the founders are the bottleneck and they don't realize it, right? It's kind of, you have to kind of do an intervention like you would with an alcoholic, right? You have to help them realize they have a problem. And it's not that they don't have good people. I hear a lot of founders saying, well, I can't keep good people. Well, it's because you're burning your people out, because they don't have the same vision you do, and they don't want to work 70 hours a week like you do. And the reality is I can help them to overcome that challenge, give them their life back, allow them to get back to the golf course occasionally and be able to have a life, right? But more importantly, building those systems is what's really going to help the company grow And so I had to sit back and realize, okay, if I continue to work for one company at a time, I can help that one company and I can help do so exquisitely well. But if I help multiple companies be able to do that, that's going to be more fulfilling for me. And so that's why I was like, I got to shift and go in that direction.
I can see that. I've got a follow-up question then. Sometimes when people are like, are you consulting? Is it more like consulting? Are you more like coaching these executives and founders? What does that look like? Because sometimes
Yeah.
you in the org chart for
Yeah.
a while.
Great question. Because the reality is there are a lot of great integrators out there, and some of them I know personally, and they do a great job, and they don't do this. And I don't want to disparage all like integrators out there, but I don't just build a process and then say good luck, right? I want to make sure I want to roll up my sleeves, get in the trenches, whatever metaphor you want to use, and actually make sure that those accountability mechanisms are installed. And that they're running well. So I go as far as to say, okay, I help the managers, directors, whatever your org chart looks like, and either coach them or actually help them by making sure everybody who touches that process knows what their responsibility is, who they report to, when, super high clarity. I don't want there to be any ambiguity about what their responsibilities are. And then by doing that, I can then create great KPI dashboards. I can't tell you how many companies I've walked into where the only person that looks at the KPIs is leadership, and I'm like, what? Whoa, stop right now! That's the first thing we have to fix. Is everybody who touches a process needs to know what their how they contribute and what they're looking like on the scoreboard. Imagine a basketball game where the players don't know the score, only the coaches do, right? Imagine how much demotivating that is for the team to never know what score it is. What's my score? What, that kind of thing. And how am I contributing? So to bring it back, basically I make sure that I am a full part of the team. Now, if there is a technical COO, I'll be a consultant, technically, but I really like to get in the trenches, make sure that they actually work. If I have to get in the field, I'm happy to do that because I want to make sure everything's working and working well and that the scoreboard reflects that. And so when people are looking at the KPIs, they're like, yeah, I'm proud of that because I helped contribute to that. And I'm now moving the needle, and I can tell that I'm moving the needle as an individual contributor, as a supervisor, as a team lead, as a manager. Everybody gets more involved and more bought in when they know how they're able to contribute. So yeah, I'm not just consulting or coaching. There are a lot of great consultants and coaches, and I'm not disparaging that, but that's not way beyond that.
Okay. And then there are also guys who will come in and they're, fractional, but it's more like fractured, right? Like they're not, they're kind of loosely overseeing a bunch of different stuff and no power, no authority, no real buy-in on it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Think of me as a part-time COO, fractional, like you said, it can have some negative connotations, but the idea is essentially, just consider me a part-time COO instead of your full-time COO.
Yeah.
And I'm as much a part of the team. I'm going to be going to meetings and being involved just as if I were the full-time.
I love what you're saying with the KPIs, and that it sounds like SOPs, standard operating procedures, that's a huge part of it. Cause I had a mentor who said, if there's any ambiguity about who owns a task, if more than one person thinks they own that task, nobody owns the task.
Nobody owns it. Yep.
Yeah. Do you run into that a lot where there's just kind of this?
Yes. Yeah. Way too often. It's like, hey, can you guys take care of that? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, good luck with that. A week from now, you're going to be looking at it going, why wasn't it done? Well, yeah, it's because nobody had I mean, you're obviously you're going to have some people who take a little initiative and maybe they will, but those are the exceptions to the rule. Everyone has to have clarity. I say that leadership has two responsibilities, and that is you got to provide clarity. You got to make sure they know exactly what they're supposed to do and when, and there be no questions of that. The second part is to remove obstacles to the path of success. It's not about bossing people around and being the hero and being the one that everyone depends on for every little process. That's the problem that a lot of CEOs have, is they get this like almost like a sick thrill from everything depending on them. And maybe it's a little bit of ego. We got to kind of check that ego a little bit. but it also helps them to like step back and say, no. My job as leadership, as C-suite, is to remove obstacles to the path of their success and to make sure it's super clear what they're supposed to do. And then let people just go do it. Give them the freedom to do it. And then you hold them accountable the right way. When everybody knows what they're supposed to do, it's not a trip to the principal's office. They're actually excited to come and to share what they did that week,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love your analogies. That's so good. I can tell, parents of 5.
I never went to the principal's office, not once in my entire life, because
No.
I saw my brother get in trouble with my mom one time for something, and I was like, I'm not dealing with that. So I actually don't know what it's like, but
that's great. Well, what do they say? It's a very smart person who learns from their mistakes. It's a brilliant person who learns from others' mistakes.
Very young, I learned that. I saw my brother get reamed, and I'm like, not me.
Danger. Well, let me ask you this then. What's your why driving you all this? You've had this long, successful career in corporate. You could probably be doing a bunch of other things.
Yeah. So for me, obviously, like I lived, some people like they live to work. I work to live, right? I play hard. I work hard. I really enjoy the outdoors. That's why I moved back to Utah. It's beautiful here. I love to hike. I love to get out in nature. I really love being with my family. I have a wonderful wife and children. And I'm very blessed in that respect. And so I work hard for them. But really, on the professional side, my why is I so many companies go through the pitfalls. I mean, I've literally spent almost 20 years exclusively in startups. And so I have seen, I think it's fair to say, I've seen every pitfall a startup can possibly go through. And so whether it's a pre-revenue company all the way up to a 40 million late stage startup, I've seen it all. And so I just want to help some of these founders just not deal with some of those things, right? Just let me deal with some of the lessons that I've learned. Take it off your plate. You could focus on scaling the company and growing and getting funding and getting the sales team, because I don't do sales, right? I'm just operations. And so that's really for me is what it is. I just want to make sure that, it's kind of like you want to help your kids, essentially avoid some of the dumb mistakes you made as a teenager. I just want to help some of these CEOs not have to learn some of the lessons that I learned the hard way.
That's awesome. I once heard somebody refer to coaching entrepreneurs, the types of folks that you're working with, as trying to herd lobotomized kittens.
Yeah, it can be. It can be, for sure.
That's incredible. I do hope you'll come back. This is going to be a fantastic series of interviews with you. There's so much, we have. You hear from all different stages of founders, and boy, they need that wisdom. And if they're wise enough to take the advice before they, threw themselves off a cliff into a pit, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to come back. It's funny because some people say like, "Hey, you're giving all your secrets away." I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." No, the reality is it's like we talked about earlier. It's the execution that is the key. Right. Exactly. So I could tell you all the principles all day long, but unless you know how to execute, it's I'm happy to come back, talk about these things. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, a lot of time I've as a ghostwriter for 20 years, I'm always like, you should have a book, about your process and your stories and analogies, this type of thing. And people have been hesitant sometimes, like, well, if I write it in a book, nobody's going to hire me. I'm like,
no, that's why I don't hire you.
Exactly. So, well, thank you. I appreciate you, sharing your secrets. But I think this is going to be really valuable for people. Wonderful.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.